Yes, indeed. It's Wrestling Uncensored. Tonight on the show, we're reviewing SmackDown, John Cena's return to WWE Raw, and Bryan Danielson. Is he taking a break from AEW? Let's get Johnny North in here and break it down. Break it down, Johnny North. How you doing?
A little beat up, but you know, that's what happens when you wrestle. You get a little beat up, but I'm here. Let's talk some wrestling.
You say that with such enthusiasm. I'm here. Let's talk some wrestling, I suppose. Do you not want to? You want to just stop the show now? We could not. If you're too beat up, we could just do it next week, you know? I don't know. The people might be upset, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think people would be upset. People have been waiting for this, actually, because they haven't seen or heard from me since last week, I guess, right? So
yeah.
So I gotta give them what they want.
That's right. People want to see you, John. Here you are. Look at you. Show us the bruises on your arm from your match last week.
Well, I already showed you before, I guess.
Yeah,
but
we
went on air. I don't know if people can actually see that or not, or
yeah, you
get a
can
nice
see that.
little visual, little arm
Ooh.
there. It's a little bit off. But yeah,
looks like a frog's
head.
It's
only a taste.
Looks like it's got two eyes.
Thanks.
Well, it doesn't feel like that, that's for sure. And like the side of my head right here, it's really too soft for what it should be, actually. So, but you know, that's wrestling. You know, it ain't easy. You're gonna get beat up sometimes.
And who did you wrestle?
It was a tag match. It was me and York against. Hey, whoa! I don't think we should be showing that.
No.
I think it was me and York against Drew Onyx and Savage Paulson, and they were quite savages, I have to say. I mean, we brought the fight, but they brought the fight back. So we're all a little beat up after that match.
Thanks.
Did you win?
You're welcome. I was involved in the finish, so I did not win, but I did not lose.
I see. And of course, because you were wrestling last Sunday, we didn't get your thoughts on the AEW pay-per-view because you hadn't seen the whole thing. You saw the main event.
I saw
right?
the main event.
You didn't see the rest of it. Have you seen the rest of it? Have you caught up? Did you bother?
Yeah, I know. I watched the rest of it. I mean, obviously, the main event was the best thing on the show. I mean, that's probably the best match I've seen all year so far. And that's going to be very tough to beat. I mean, that was just arguably like one of the greatest matches of all time, I would say. That I thought was that good. So, you know, kudos to MJF and Bryan Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the greatest match I've seen them in ever. So, and that spans a lot of Bryan Danielson stuff too. So,
that's tough.
Well, that's tough. What I said arguably. I didn't say like for sure. I said arguably.
It was one. It was one of his best matches for sure. But to say it was Bryan Danielson's best match is a little tough because he's had some.
I think
classics.
For AEW, I think that's. Yeah, I think you could say that.
Yeah, probably. Those Hangman matches were pretty good though. But this was great. I think this was very better. Good. Yeah, step above. Step above. MJF's best match for sure of his entire career, right? And we expected that. Like Bryan Danielson wrestling for 60 minutes, you knew it was going to be good. You give the guy the canvas and he's going to give you a brilliant work of art. And the more canvas you give him, the better the piece of art, you know? Like the more time you give this guy, the better it's going to be, no matter what. I wasn't surprised.
Well, I think we both agreed it was going to be good. It was just how good was it going to be? And just the little extras that he added into that match, I think made it really much more special than what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you caught the little thing they did with Justin Roberts, where he like pulled on his tie a little bit.
Oh, did he? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you noticed that? Yeah, he did that. The match started. And, you know, you saw, like, when he made that comeback at the end, and he hit his finish at the end, He did the whole yes thing, which he hasn't done at all since he's been in AEW. Like, he actually acknowledged the whole yes, and he got people to go along with it. That really added to that moment where it's like, oh crap, he could actually win it here. Like, he obviously did not, but it just added to the emotion of that moment right there.
Yeah.
So, like, not only just to have good wrestling, but to make some very interesting callbacks as well. At timely moments, I thought, too. Like, that just made that match much more special than I expected.
It was a classic. What'd you think of the rest of the pay-per-view?
You know, I thought it was good overall. Like, I thought solid opener to start. Starks and Jericho. I mean, wasn't the greatest match, but it was fine for opening match. I have no problems with that. And Ricky Starks, gets the win. That helps him. I thought Christian Jungle Boy was fantastic. I know you weren't a big fan of that, but
no,
I thought that was a great brawl. I thought Christian was amazing in that match. Like, to me, it showed me how much I miss Christian watching that. It was like, wow, is he so good on just every little thing he does? Like, just making a brawl like this match, like, usually casket matches, like, they're not very interesting, but he made it interesting. And again, Jungle Boy too, like, sometimes his matches, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Again, Christian just made this interesting. Like, he's very good at being, like, a huge jerk. And he's got these great little spots here and there, like, he throws in. Like, he's so unique. Like, he really, in my opinion, he should be up there in the main event scene in AEW. I don't know why he isn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's his age. Maybe he's injury prone or something. I don't know. But yeah, he's very good. I just didn't love that match. I don't like the gimmick. I'm not a huge fan of the casket match gimmick and just having it on the stage, and I didn't love the finish. I don't know. What did you think of Hangman and Moxley?
I mean, there was a lot of blood, and it was very, very, like, disgusting. But, if you like ultra violence, this was one of the best ultra violent matches. Again, arguably in AEW history.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, in terms of, like, back and forth action, has there been a better ultra violent match in AEW? And to me, it's like, I was like, how far can they take this? And they just kept raising it and raising it and raising it as they kept going on. Now, I can understand a lot of people wouldn't like that kind of match. And if you don't like ultra-violent matches, yeah, don't watch that match. But if you don't mind watching that, I thought that was very innovative with a lot of stuff they pulled off in that match. Like, if you're a fan of that kind of style,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Just if you're a fan of that kind of style, I think people really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it, and I've heard a lot of people kind of upset, didn't like it for whatever reason, too violent, too many weapons, whatever. But I thought that the feud called for it at this point.
Right.
It made sense in a wrestling way, and that's what you get when you get a Texas Death Match with Jon Moxley and Hangman Page. Like, that's the kind of match you should expect. And I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good, but I know some people didn't. A few controversies. That match was controversial. The MJF throwing the tequila on the kid was controversial as well. I know you were in favor of it for some reason. I don't know. I didn't love it.
I didn't say I was in favor of it. At first, we thought it was just water, right? And
yeah.
I'm like, especially the way he did it. It's like he barely even got the kid with the water. What we thought was water at the time. Now it's been changed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was not, like, he threw garbage on somebody, like, right before that even happened. And it's like, that looked worse.
It's a grown man.
Oh,
when it's a kid, it's different. Some people are fine with it. Other people are not so happy with it. I saw Ric Flair said he was too far. You shouldn't do that.
Well, I think the way a lot of people look at it, it's like, you don't need to do that kind of thing when you're the champion. But I think what he's trying to do, MJF, he's trying to push the boundaries of how far he can take it, pretty much, in terms of his heel heat. And they have that whole, like, fan code of conduct thing. So I think he was trying to push that because, like, technically they said, like, they say if you're on the floor, like anything can fly at you. You know, people, items. That's part of their code of conduct that they display on all their shows. So I think he was pushing it because they kind of gave him that opportunity to.
Can you fight back?
I mean, you should be able to know. Like if someone like strikes at you in some capacity, like if someone like threw water at you, you should be able to throw water back. No.
Like if MJF came up to you and like pushed you and threw water at you, you're gigantic. You're bigger than him. You know? Can you just slap
Not
him?
by much though.
I mean, is he
The
over
thing is
6 foot?
security. No, he's not. But I'm just saying I'm bigger than him, but not by much though. He's not that small though. But
You're talking
like,
about
say, yeah, if
muscle
you
wise, but like I don't know. You're quite a bit bigger than him, I think. You got size on him.
No, but again, he's not small though. You know, not terribly small.
You're a
but
heavyweight though, John.
Yeah.
Like you're a legit heavyweight. MJF's like a middleweight. You know what I mean? Welterweight, really. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure they sell it as a light heavyweight him, but whatever.
Yeah,
like,
but
yeah, no,
let's be real.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And what would happen in that case, like, you know, security would have been more involved, I think.
Yeah.
Like to me, that looked very set up. Like I don't know about you, like when I watched that, I'm like, that couldn't have been real the way I watched it. Because I was like, he had so much space, so much time, and the way he looked around, like he was looking for it almost too. So I was like, this is kind of set up. The way like the mother didn't even like try to fight back and practically gave him the drink too.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this looks way too set up. Apparently it wasn't, but I didn't believe it at first, you know. And it's like, it's a little thing, and like it didn't look like it even hit him that much, you know, maybe on the arm a little bit. But apparently it was worse than it was, and it wasn't just water. So, you know, AEW had to kind of cool that situation down, and they did.
Yeah, but I think it's not cool. Trans Am is saying in the chat, shout out Trans Am, shout out Ryan Katz, Johnny North in the chat somehow, CSL Lorne. Trans Am.
That was before the show started.
Okay. Trans Am saying kids don't process things effectively. If the kid was an MJF fan, it must have sucked for the kid. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, kids should be out of bounds. Adults, whatever, get in their face, fine, but you can't throw stuff at kids. You could kind of look at kids and, like, be scary towards kids and maybe even say things to kids like, oh, get out of here, you know? But you can't swear at kids. You can't throw stuff at kids. You can't push or hit a kid. I mean, what? You know? That's just common sense as a human. Ric Flair said it was cheap heat. William Regal talked about being a gentleman villain. I think MJF needs to kind of stay on that side. He doesn't need to do these things to be effective, you know? He's plenty effective without stepping over the line. But he steps over the line. And I didn't like it. I thought it was like, because I pictured myself there with my own kid, and if he did that to my kid, I'd lose my mind, you know? Wouldn't be cool. So,
well, if it was you, I'd be questioning why you have hard liquor in your cup. You know, I'd be
correct.
A lot of questions about that. But
correct. It would be a Coca-Cola. You know me. It would be a Coca-Cola.
I would think Dr. Pepper. I'm surprised, actually.
I'm a Coke man, not cocaine.
Okay.
You know me. I got cherry Coke in this mug right now. People think it's coffee. It's not. It's cherry Coke. All right. Okay. So what would you give it on 10? I gave it like a 7, I think. 7.5, maybe. It was all right. 2 really good matches, I thought. Everything else was pretty cool.
Well, because we were at Elimination Chamber, I still thought Elimination Chamber was a better show, but obviously a little biased because, you're there live. It's a different experience than watching on, television. So, I'd say a solid 8, to be honest. And I think that's pretty good. Really just off those 3 matches alone. The rest of the show was okay at best. But those 3 matches, like, you kind of really have to watch those matches unless you don't like blood. Don't watch pretty much all of them, I guess, because I think all of them had blood in it. But those matches were definitely worth the price tag of the show.
Solid 8. That's pretty good. It's in the ballpark
Well,
where I was. I think my
well,
brother
there's
gave it a
Chamber.
7. I gave it 7.5. You gave it an 8. Chamber, you gave what, a 9?
9.5. So nothing's really going to be Chamber, I think, this year. But, that's probably the best AEW pay-per-view I think we're going to see this year, more than likely.
Mhm. Well, we can hope for something to beat the Chamber this year. You never know. We're watching AEW Rampage. That's not going to be the best show of the year, that's for sure. We had Action Andretti and Sammy Guevara in the opener. I don't know who won. I missed it.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. It was when
Yeah.
we were talking there. I missed it, yeah.
And now we have Preston Vance about to wrestle Konosuke Takeshita on Rampage right now.
Well, it seems like a mismatch, but okay.
Once we're talking about AEW, why don't we stick with AEW? We'll get to the WWE stuff here in a bit. A lot of WWE news as we're in WrestleMania season. I'm hearing a lot of different people talk about how great WWE is right now and how WWE is just killing it. And I just want people to remember what WWE is like when it's not between the months of January and April. They have 4 good months of the year. And the other 8 months are kind of tough. Like SummerSlam season, they kind of ramp things up a little bit, but everybody's really happy with what WWE's doing, but I think they're kind of with the WrestleMania blinders on. Like WWE's building towards a big show. Things are actually important. They have reasons to do things. They have done well, but as good as WWE is, and it's all right now, I just wait till May or June and see what this product really is about. Just everybody's kind of jumping on this WWE is the best and way better than AEW bandwagon, and I think that there are elements of truth to that, but I just want everybody to slow down and realize, like, okay, when you're building towards the Rumble and then building towards Mania, this is the best time of year for WWE. So if they're not good now, it's a real problem. You know what I'm saying, John? Like, after Mania, let's see how it is. Like, just curb your enthusiasm for the WWE. Be careful saying WWE is the best ever and, getting all excited, because I'm a little worried about what happens after Mania.
Well, that's for you and me that watch, all year round.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are just tuning in now.
Yeah.
Because that's the time to watch. And I get it. I mean, this is the time to watch now if you want to watch WWE at its best. And I'd even criticize that it might not even be at its best right now. It might be at its best in terms of storytelling right now, but in terms of wrestling, I feel the wrestling hasn't been that great on television. Like this week on Raw, I wasn't really enthralled by what I saw. Like I was watching Raw live for a little bit, and then I'm like, well, an hour's enough for me. I'll just watch the other 2 hours another time because this really isn't that great, to be honest. SmackDown was all right tonight, but Raw is always a struggle to get through, I find. So, I mean, WWE's good, I think, right now, but it's still not amazing to watch with, 5 hours every week.
I thought we had some pretty solid promos on Raw this week. We'll get to that. Let's get to AEW and what they did on Dynamite. They opened up the show with Orange Cassidy over Jay Lethal. Can we stop opening up the show with Orange Cassidy matches? Like, I'm good.
Watch next week. It's him and Jeff Jarrett open the show.
Yeah. For a new belt. They're changing the name of this belt. You would think if they're going to change the name of a belt, they'd change the name of one of those TV belts that they have, but no, they're changing the name of the All-Atlantic belt to the International belt.
That's a good idea.
Why?
Well, All-Atlantic, it wasn't really All-Atlantic, if I'm not mistaken. Some of them weren't actually in the Atlantic, so International, that seems to make more sense. I think it represents, I would think, everything, right? No? Outside of the U.S.?
Yeah. Yeah, the All-Atlantic belt had, I think, a Japanese flag on it, among others.
Right.
Which didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. Ridiculous. Now, the International, it just sounds a lot like Intercontinental, but I guess that's the flavor they're going for with this, which, whatever. I don't mind. I don't hate the new name. The belt's been around for what? 6 months? And they're like, you know what? This is a terrible name. Let's change it. It just seems weird. It's kind of a new belt, and all of a sudden they're just like, they're not given a reason why they're changing the name. They're just changing the name. Like, what's the reason? Did they give a... Tony Khan was there. He's like, hey, everybody, we're going to change the name of the belt. I was like, all right. Why? Because I thought of it at 4 a.m. All right. Well, what else are you doing?
What? It was with the promotion of the new Shazam movie, I think. That's the
Shazam!
reason.
Yeah, I don't understand how he's like, because Shazam and Warner Brothers and TBS, it's a national belt now. I was like, what? I didn't understand anything you just said, man.
Yeah, basically they needed a big announcement, and that was it.
I mean, wasn't that weird? But what's the reason? Why is it changing? Because they realized that the All-Atlantic Championship is bad, and it doesn't really make sense to have a belt for people that only are from places where the Atlantic Ocean is near them. So, like, West Coast wrestlers can't have it, but if you're an East Coast wrestler, you can challenge for it. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Where's Orange Cassidy from? Doesn't make
I would
sense.
think in the U.S., more than likely, but
where? It depends. I mean, like, how much of sticklers are there? Like, could say the Young Bucks challenge for the All-Atlantic? Could Nick Jackson challenge for the All-Atlantic Championship, considering he's from California, which borders the Pacific Ocean? Is he allowed? What are the rules? There are no rules. The Japanese flag's on the belt. Doesn't make any sense. So they botched the belt. They botched the initial rollout of the championship. They called it the All-Atlantic belt with the Japanese flag on it. And now 6 months in, they're like, international belt. Like, does that not scream of, we don't know what the hell we're doing? We're not thinking things through? It just comes off weird, especially considering they don't give you a reason. Like, if they said, hey, we want to make it the international belt because we plan on having our champion go and defend this in different promotions around the world internationally, not just in the Atlantic. Just give me a reason. It doesn't have to be a good reason. You could lie, too. Right. Say you're going to send your champion and never send him. Don't even have plans to do it. Just say something. They gave us nothing. They gave us no reason. It's just like, come on, man. I'm trying to watch a TV show here. Give me something. Give me some meat on the bone. Give me a reason. Don't just say, we screwed up. We're going to switch it. It's weak. It makes Tony Khan look confused.
Well, I think they just realized All-Atlantic didn't sound like a great championship name. I think a lot of people looked at it. I think you'd agree. A lot of people looked at the championship as it was the lowest championship in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And just with that name change alone, you think international. It's like, well, that sounds a little bit more prestigious. That sounds like that's at least like second championship level, at least. I don't believe it is, but it sounds like it's a little bit higher up. So just the name change alone. So I think a little bit's that, and a little bit is because of the fact that they wanted something big for the Canada, and we don't exactly have anything big. That's why they had to make Kenny and Jericho in the same match for the Trios Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got that match. Like, MJF's there, but he's not even defending the championship, so they had to make some sort of big championship match, and that's what they came up with.
I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to change the belt to the international belt. Then you say now it's a secondary belt or close to it, to the world title. But I don't even know. Both of those mid-card titles seem worthless at this point. They've got Will Hobbs, who's the TNT champion now. He won it in the main event. And you've got Orange Cassidy with the International Continental belt. I don't know. It's muddy. It's muddy waters. Orange Cassidy beat Jay Lethal in the opener after the Orange Punch to retain the All-Atlantic title. What'd you think of the match?
I thought it was a solid match. Like, Jay Lethal and Cassidy have had good matches in the past. Again, this was solid way to start. I know you're not a big fan of Orange Cassidy starting the show, but it was a good wrestling match. Like, Cassidy can have some good matches with certain guys. Like, Jey Uso is one of those guys. He can have a really good match with them.
Yeah, I wasn't into it. Didn't care one bit. Very bland. Very B-level. Jeff Jarrett attacked Orange Cassidy after the match, hit him with the stroke, hit him with the guitar. Chuck and Trent showed up to run Jeff off. And like you said, John, next week it'll be Jeff Jarrett versus Orange Cassidy for the International Championship in Winnipeg. Winnipeg, Manitoba, Quebec, Canada, as Excalibur said on Dynamite this week.
I think he's a little confused on provinces, I think, in Canada.
Yeah.
You know, provinces in provinces.
I didn't realize Winnipeg was a part of our province, John. I had no idea that Winnipeg and Manitoba were all part of Quebec. But
hopefully they come to Quebec one day.
Yeah, it would be nice if AEW came to Quebec, but not yet. Toronto, now Winnipeg. Nothing in Montreal yet. Next, we find out that Wardlow's car was broken into, and Powerhouse Hobbs cut a promo about it, saying he's going to take the TNT title tonight like everything was taken from Wardlow. Did he get the belt stolen from him, too? Was that legit? What happened there?
I don't know if it's legit or not because other people are taking credit for it now. Now that QT's involved, I guess he's kind of taking credit for it. So I'm not sure if it's legit or not. I mean, if it is legit, that's pretty bad, but
yeah,
I'm not sure if it is or not.
Okay. Wardlow and Hobbs was the main event. Before we got there, we had Ricky Starks with an in-ring promo. He talked about beating Jericho at Revolution and taking out the JAS, and he's wondering where he's going to go next. And then Bullet Club music hits, and you wonder, who's this? And it's Juice Robinson, who attacks Starks from behind. I guess they signed Juice Robinson. Like, it's kind of came out to no reaction. Nobody seemed to care.
Well, let's face it. I think you and I think many other people were expecting Jay White, I'm guessing, right?
Well, if not Jay White, somebody that wasn't Juice Robinson. Like, when that music hits, you go, oh, what is this? What do they have here? And then it's like, oh, it's Juice Robinson. It's like, oh, you mean that guy who's been on AEW Dark for the past 3 months? You mean Tony Storm's husband? That guy? Okay. Cool. I guess they're going to push him now on Dynamite. Like, I don't know. Seems like a step down for Ricky Starks. He beats Jericho on TV, and then he's going to try to bring up a guy who's been wrestling on AEW Dark. I don't know if that's how you want to build up Ricky Starks. To me, after you beat Jericho, you kind of keep moving up the ladder. He's moving down. That's like if you're a UFC fighter and you beat the number 4 contender and then you go and fight the number 16 fighter in the world next. Doesn't make sense.
Well, like, if it's just Juice Robinson, I agree with you. But, I mean, if there's going to be more members of the Bullet Club, this actually could be a pretty good feud for him.
Yeah, but what if it's not?
Like if they,
it doesn't look like it is. Come on,
well, man. Maybe they'll get Jay White. If they can get Jay White, that's
okay, but be realistic.
Good. I mean, we haven't seen where Jay White's going to go yet, right? It's not impossible.
Okay. What if it's just Juice Robinson, though?
Then it's disappointing.
Yeah,
I won't disagree with you on that.
Thank you. Ruby Soho did a promo in the ring, interviewed by Renee, who I think should join this group, by the way. I think she should be like their Eric Bischoff. She was in WWE?
Yeah, but she's too beloved, though. Like, it's not going to work. Yeah.
Not like Tony Schiavone.
I mean, that's different kind of love, I think, but I think Renee is loved by a lot of people.
I think she could turn heel. I think that Renee could be used in a wrestling character way at some point. But then if you do
As a
that, it's hard to bring her
heel.
back as an interviewer again. So
I
maybe
don't
you
see her
just
as a
keep her
heel
there.
though.
Okay. I don't know. I thought it would be a fun idea to make it interesting, give you a different look, but maybe not. They want Ruby Soho to do the talking because Saraya.
Saraya. Yeah.
Saraya and Toni Storm came out with Ruby, but then they kind of disappeared. I was like, oh, they're all going to be in the ring together doing a promo, and then they come out, and then Ruby's by herself in the ring. And she says that the people are the reason she joined with Tony and Saraya. And they created this monster, and the fans were thrilled when Britt Baker beat her for the title. And the fans booed her when she beat Chris Statlander in the Owen Hart tournament. And that's why she joined the heel group. Because months ago, the fans were not on her side against other people. So now she's turning on the fans. She says the fans don't give her any respect. And they don't respect Toni Storm. And the fat, neck-bearded trolls begged Saraya to return. And then when she did, they turned on her as soon as she came back to wrestling. And that's why they're all turning on the fans. Because the fans have turned on them. The fat, neck-bearded trolls, as Ruby Soho calls them. Which, if you look in the audience, I don't know, kind of, few of them guys should maybe just look in the mirror once in a while and be like, is she talking about us? Anyways, not everybody. Just a couple guys you see, you're like, whoa. More AEW, than WWE, the audience. It's like a less pretty audience. I don't know. Anyways, I just like that shot from Ruby Soho, and the commentary team were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Even they popped. They were like, oh, shit. That's our audience, Ruby Soho. Take it easy. Those are the people that pay us money. Anyways. What do you think of the promo?
Was when... Well, did you hear the part where Shivani and Taz, everyone in the audience could hear them talk when the show started? I don't know if you caught that part.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. It was great.
Nice audio botch there. That'll be on Botchamania. Ruby Soho.
They played it.
Huh?
They played it very well, though, I thought. Taz kind of made a good joke, and then Shivani's, went with the joke as well. It was good.
Yeah. It didn't, and it didn't last long. I give more credit to the audio people who had a little mistake, and then they fixed it very quickly to keep everything running smoothly. So that was good. Because that could just, the longer that goes, the worse it gets. You know what I mean? It was very short. So, what do you think of
wonder what it'd be like.
What did you think of Ruby's heel promo?
I thought it was all right. It made sense because there was some booing before she even turned. There was booing when she beat Statlander. I remember that. I remember you complained about that even. So there was a lot of sense to what she was. Yeah. You're saying because you thought Statlander should have won the whole thing. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
To go on and face, I think Jade. I think at the time, right? Yeah,
it seemed to make sense. I guess. I think they're still trying to get Statlander back to face Jade, but it's another story.
But even then, it kind of made sense. And yeah, when she faced Britt a couple times too, they were cheering Britt over her. So yeah, it made sense. Yeah. I kind of liked it, and it sounded good. I had no problem with it. It's just, okay, now you've said that. Now what happens?
Well, I think they move on as a group. I liked it. I thought it was a good promo from Ruby Soho, and they had a match after Ruby beating Sky Blue after her finisher, got the pinfall. Saraya and Toni Storm came back out after the match to do a beatdown. Willow Nightingale came out to make the save. Ruby told Saraya and Toni to leave the ring, so they did. But then they came back from behind to attack Willow, which was a weird little moment there. She's like, leave, I'm going to take care of her. And then they do, and then they came back immediately. And then they laid out Willow and Sky and spray painted them. Saraya, Toni Storm, and Ruby Soho.
Yeah.
The Lady NWO. The FemWO. The Female World Order. That's not bad.
Well, I felt like I saw this coming. Like
FemWO.
it felt like,
no?
but they let's be fair though. I mean, they don't really have like a Hogan yet in the group. If Ruby Soho was supposed to be the third person, like it's not really doesn't have that same impact kind of thing, you know. So
they need Mercedes Moné.
That would work, yeah, for sure. They get Naomi, that'd be interesting too, I think. But
yes,
they need someone else, I think, for like a big impact. I think.
I don't know who they're gonna get. This group seems to be set right now, and they're feuding with all the baby faces in AEW, pretty much. Right?
Well, it's interesting. Like they attacked like a cameraman at the pay-per-view, so it feels like they're trying to do a whole kind of takeover kind of thing. But you only did a little bit of that. You know, like okay, you attacked a cameraman. That was nice, but there's more to it than just that. You know, there's also going after the announcers, attacking people backstage, you know, throwing them into the trailer or something like that. You got to create moments like that.
Yeah, they got a lawn dart Riho. Like Rey Mysterio.
Something like that.
You know? Lawn dart
Yeah.
Riho. It's Riho and Nyla Rose right now in the ring. What do you think about Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir joining the group? Make it even bigger.
Well, I mean, they weren't in WWE, so.
Marina was, kind of. NXT.
I guess you're right. Yeah, Marina was, yeah. It would work if Vicky was still there, but I guess Vicky's gone now.
Yeah. Well. Eventually, though, the NWO brought in people that weren't in WWE, like Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton, you know?
It's true. But, I mean, they got to a certain size by then, so.
Yeah, I'm saying, grow the group, make them bigger. I mean, the Giant was one of the early members of NWO.
Yeah.
Before WWE, before he was ever Big Show. So.
That's true, yeah.
Come on, John.
But I just don't
right.
see it with Nyla Rose, though.
Well, we'll see. I think it. Honestly, she's like big. She's strong. She'd be a good heater for the group. Marina makes sense because she was in WWE and she's like mean, not as like main characters, but as kind of background to Saraya and Tony and Ruby. You know, as backup for them. It would not only make them stronger and more intimidating because they had the numbers, but it would also give Nyla and Marina something to do. Because, you know, you see them on TV now, but, like, it's Rampage, and when do you really see them on TV?
Right, but that's like NWO B team, though. You know, it's not like the next big well, they need someone bigger now. Like we're talking about, they need a Hogan. They don't have a Hogan yet. They still need to do that.
I think Saraya's their Hogan. She's
It
Paige.
doesn't feel like it. Like I agree, it should have been, but it doesn't feel like they're pushing her like that. It feels like she's like the Nash or something almost.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't disagree with you the way she's presented. It seems like they present them strong, like huge stars on their first week or two, and then we're kind of part of the pack. So many of these people come in, they're like massive stars, and then it's like, yeah, they're just kind of part of the roster after a while. I don't know. They got to maintain Nia Jax and her whole. Yeah, I don't think she'd be a good fit in that group. All right. Hangman Page did a promo. He was interviewed backstage talking about how his body is hurt, but his soul is doing well after the match with Moxley that he won. He's got a black eye. He issues a warning to the rest of the locker room. He says he's shown the dark places that he's willing to go, so they better not mess with him. And he says to Renee, who's interviewing him, that he apologizes for what she had to see and tells Renee not to blame him because it's not his fault. He says to Mox that he's finished with him after the Texas death match, but I don't think Moxley is finished with Hangman, which we'll get to a little bit later. An MJF promo is aired after his Iron Man match. It's a promo that he was recorded after the Iron Man match. He's still full of blood. He says he made the dragon tap out, and he's going to celebrate. He says March 15th is going to be his birthday, and he's going to be celebrating it on Dynamite in Winnipeg. So it's going to be MJF's birthday on March the 15th, coming up on Wednesday Night Dynamite. And he's saying it's his re-bar mitzvah, which I think is very funny. I don't know if you get that joke, John. I doubt that you do. It's like I think it's a Curb Your Enthusiasm reference. It's Leon. He's trying to explain to Kramer. He's lying to Kramer, Michael Richards. He's claiming he's Danny Duberstein, and he says something about a bar mitzvah, and he's like, I thought you only got a bar mitzvah when you were 13. And then Leon goes, no, you misunderstand. It's every 13 years. You got to recharge the mitzvah, which is hilarious to me, and I always think about recharging the mitzvah. So MJF is turning 26, so he's going to recharge his mitzvah on his birthday, which is funny to me. But I guess not to you, John. I guess you're not a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, or I don't know. Do you? It's funny, John. Do you know what a bar mitzvah is? Have you ever attended a bar mitzvah? I know you didn't have one. I had one. I'm sure you've been to one, right?
I wrestled on one. Actually.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Kevin Nash was there too.
Nice.
So that was fun.
What a bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
And I wish I had Diesel at my bar mitzvah. That would have been crazy. Cool.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, MJF is saying he's going to recharge his mitzvah, which is not a real thing. But it was a very funny joke. I thought it was hilarious. So, yeah. It's something that happens when you're 13. Not every 13 years. Don't listen to Danny Duberstein. So MJF's birthday, that's going to be fun. MJF birthday promo. Who's going to come out and interrupt?
Well, I thought Hangman would be the next guy. Seemed to make a lot of sense. He beat Moxley, so it's like, well, felt like they set him up, but he's busy in something else, so maybe it won't be him. I don't know. Like, they have all the hometown heroes kind of booked. So it's tough to say.
Right? Everybody's kind of busy.
Unless, Danielson will come back, but it doesn't look like he's coming back.
I mean, he says he's going home.
Right.
He cut a hell of a promo. Bryan Danielson cut a promo. His promo from after his match at Revolution. That was intense.
Should have started the show.
That was the best thing on this show.
Well, it was a good moment. I don't think it was the best moment, but it was a good moment.
It was. It was the best thing on the show. Bryan says he thought he was doing this for his kids to show them to fight for what you believe in. But he says when he woke up after being unconscious in the label lock, his first instinct was to fight, but he realized he couldn't feel his arms and his left leg didn't have any strength in it. Bryan says when Max said he wouldn't play with his wife and kids after the Iron Man match, it turns out now that he was right. Bryan says he was putting himself over his family. And Bryan says more than tapping out, it made him more... He says tapping out isn't what made him ashamed. It was a shame. The shame was that he had to go out there and fight and be selfish and put his body on the line and risk permanent injury that would take him away from his family. And Bryan says it's time for him to go home. And it was emotional, and it felt real. And it was quite something. You know? It was... Because, what's the line? What's the line between going out there, setting an example for your kids, fighting for your dream, making a living for your family, and going too far and giving too much of yourself to the business? And a lot of guys have struggled with that line and gone over the line. And Danielson's promo was about that, and it was deep, man. It was something from Bryan Danielson. Beautiful stuff. Greatest of all time.
Well, Bryan's really good at adding the realism, like the emotion, because he's obviously feeling a lot of what he's saying, so it's kind of easy in a sense to say a promo like that because he actually feels a lot of it. So, but I mean, he's still twisting a lot of that too. I mean, he wouldn't have done this if he didn't care about wrestling, and he knew what he was getting into here with this, and he knew what he could and couldn't take. So, he knew Iron Man match, it's gonna be rough. He's gonna get busted open. He's walking in there with a busted up shoulder, anyways, taped up already, but that's what he knew. He knew the price that he put on himself. So,
but that's it. The risks are great. And is he putting his love of wrestling ahead of his love for his own family? Pretty good.
Well, I don't think he is, but it's a good story to tell, I think.
I mean, I don't know.
Because there is...
If you're so beat up that you can't pick up your kids and you can't play with your kids because you're too beat up, who are you doing it for?
Right.
I understand.
I don't think he's that beat up, though.
I go do jujitsu and stuff, and, a lot of it, I want to learn things that I could teach my kids so I could teach them to defend themselves. And I want to show them a good example of staying fit and martial arts and all of that stuff. And a lot of it, is for the kids to show them the example, right? But a lot of it is for me. But I struggle with, how much time away from the kids do I take to go and do this thing that's in a way for them? How much of my body do I give to this thing that can hurt me where I can't play with them because my ankle's messed up and I can't walk around? I felt that promo because there's a part of my life that's kind of like that. I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. Sometimes, you're doing something to show them the way, but at the same time, you're giving your time and your body to it, where when you come back to the kids, you're not as useful to them. So, got me a little emotional, John. And I'm not doing it at the level that Bryan Danielson is doing it. I'm not trying to compare myself to him, but I got it on a level, It's tough. It's tough.
Right, but again, I think he knows what he can and can't do and his limits and all that. And, again, he's hurt, but he'll recover. He's not wrestling tomorrow. He's probably not wrestling for a couple more weeks, so he'll be
at
fine.
Least, right?
They give him, yeah, at least. So he'll come back. He'll wrestle again. Oh, here come the Outcasts.
Oh, look at this! A little bit of interaction between Paige and Marina and Nyla. Sorry, not Paige. Saraya, Ruby, and Toni Storm coming down to the ring now after Nyla took out Riho. And now they're coming to spray paint Riho. Wow. Ending the show here on Rampage. The heel group. See, they're going up against every woman in the division. Willow Nightingale, Sky Blue, Riho, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, all the baby faces. Interesting.
And they all wear green and flannel now, too. Mick Foley's going to join the group?
It's like a cross between Mick Foley, DX, and the NWO. Cool.
The Outcasts isn't a bad name.
Are they called the Outcasts?
Yeah.
Oh. Hooty who?
They called them outsiders, like, on the pay-per-view, so I'm kind of glad they fixed that. I was like, they're going to get in trouble for that.
Why not just call them the Wolf Pack? You know, like, what the hell? Okay, FTR. They come out. They're interviewed by Tony Schiavone. Huge pop for FTR. Massive love for those guys. Which was cool. Cash says it's been a bad few months for them. What?
This was, I thought, the best part of the show. FTR. That promo was fantastic.
It was a very good promo. Cash says it's been a bad few months for them, and they talk about losing to the Acclaimed and the Guns, and then losing 3 sets of tag team titles and one of their best friends in wrestling, in Jay Briscoe. And Cash says that he can't let the Guns call themselves the best tag team in the world. He says that they're entitled and arrogant assholes who get everything from their daddy. Dax says he loves the fans, too, as they chant FTR. Dax says that they have to beat the Guns and become AEW Tag Team Champions for the people, for the Briscoes, and for themselves. Great promo from FTR. Fans loved it. Ate it up. And if they're saying they have to win the AEW Tag Team titles for the Briscoes, I mean, they kind of have to now, right? Can't say that and not do it.
Well, I mean, you can get screwed over somehow. It happens. It's not impossible. I mean, I hope they win, but we'll wait and see. I mean, is FTR going to be staying, or are they just filling out their contract now?
Don't know.
So wait and see.
Yeah. FTR apparently has a contract up in April, but we'll see them coming back at this stage in the game when their contract apparently is up in a month is strange. Makes me think that perhaps they will be staying in AEW. Like, if I had to bet, I'd say, yeah, they're probably sticking around.
Well, they could not use them, right? They just we'll wait and see kind of thing on the negotiations, but to have them on television, it's usually a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they do the match before the pay-per-view. If they do the match before the pay-per-view, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, I could see them doing the match before the pay-per-view, because when's the next pay-per-view?
I think it's May 28th.
That's a while.
I think it's the day after the King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring.
Okay. Speaking of the Queen of the Ring, Jade Cargill, interviewed backstage by Renee, says they're going to Canada next week, and she wants to see the best opponent that Canada has. So Jade Cargill wants to defend her belt against a Canadian in Winnipeg. And everybody's wondering who that's going to be, because AEW doesn't have any Canadian women as far as I know. Do they have a single woman from Canada on their roster that you know of?
I don't believe they have anyone signed to their roster right now. I mean, they've had Canadian women on their shows, but no one who's currently signed to AEW. So, I mean, more than likely, it's going to be someone like Tay Valkyrie. It might be her, I think.
Oh, okay. Is that the rumor?
Because apparently, because I guess she's left Impact, I guess. So.
Oh.
It just, the stars align.
Okay, that makes sense. Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's Canadian.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I was like, who could they get? Like, I know there's a lot of indie talent in Canada, but for Jade
Yeah.
Cargill to just be like, I want the best Canada has, like, it seems like a name, you know? It's not
Right.
like they got Natty Neidhart or Chelsea Green. They're both signed to WWE, so I was wondering who they could pull out there that's Canadian, but Taya Valkyrie makes sense. I didn't know that was a
the
name.
bunny, by the way. The bunny is Canadian.
Oh, yeah, the bunny. That's true. Okay. Why doesn't she wrestle the bunny?
Well,
Hopping
remember she
around
got
the
dropped
ring.
on her head?
Was she?
You know, remember she got dropped on her head by Jamie Hayter, like, or her face?
No, I don't remember.
Well, she gave her like an exploder, and the exploder was right on her face, so we haven't seen her since.
Whoops.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Daniel Garcia beat AR Fox and Top Flight. Jericho hitting the Judas effect after Hager interfered and hit Martin with the baseball bat from behind. So a little bit of cheating for the Jericho Society to win that match. You know, I don't know. What'd you think?
It wasn't anything special, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Wasn't the greatest trio match, but it happened. It was nice for the Jericho squad to win, but it wasn't anything I really look forward to watching in the future, to be honest. Like, and even the match that we have next week, I'm like, well, this seems like it's going to be an absolute mess.
Yeah, but we got more interesting players than that. The Jericho Society cut a promo. Angelo Parker started. He said, light the beam, like it was some sort of catchphrase. Is that his catchphrase?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't pay attention to his commentary. Sorry.
All right. Daddy Magic says it's been a year since the formation of the Jericho Society. Garcia wants a trios title shot. Jericho calls out the House of Black, but instead it's the Elite. And Kenny says that they've stayed out of their way for 3 years out of respect, but now these guys are talking about the trios titles, and Don Callis grabs the mic and says Jericho's great, but only the second best wrestler out of Winnipeg, and if he got in shape and laced up his boots, Jericho would probably be the third best wrestler out of Winnipeg, because Callis is from there too. And then the House of Black appear after the lights go out. Oh no, they appear on the big screen and says that both teams are worthy of a title shot, and then the lights go out, and the House of Black appear on the stage, on the ramp, and then they continue their promo from there and say, you can get a title shot next week, both of you. And then the lights go out and they disappear again. So we have a triple threat for the trios titles. It will be a Super Winnipeg match with Jericho, Chris Jericho from Winnipeg, with Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia from the Jericho Society, versus, of course, Kenneth Omega from the Elite, with his buddies, the Young Bucks, versus the trios champions, the House of Black, who have nobody from Winnipeg on their team. So, who cares about those guys? Although they'll probably win because they just won the belts, right? Like, I don't think they're going to drop them, even though they're in Winnipeg.
No. Yeah, but it's just an excuse to get Kenny and Jericho on this show and a match together against each other, but yeah, the House of Black are going to win. Like, they didn't just win the titles just to lose them right away.
Unless they won the titles just to lose them to Kenny in Winnipeg to have a nice Winnipeg moment.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Me neither.
Jericho doesn't get that moment? Like, I don't think so.
Or Jericho.
That'd be cool for Jericho, but he doesn't really need it. I think it's just to have that match. That's it. They won't even be involved in the finish, I don't think.
Okay. You're not looking forward to the match? I think it could be interesting.
Sounds like a mess. Like, there's so many guys in that match. Like, it's just going to be a free-for-all.
Yeah. Young Bucks are good in that, though. Their style match.
I mean, there could be good moments. I won't deny that, but I imagine it's going to be very long. And, like, as good as it will be, it's going to be a mess at some points where it's going to be like, a lot of it will make sense. It'll just be move for move, spot for spot, and that's it. So, I mean, if you like that kind of stuff, it's fine. But for me, like, I kind of get lost in that kind of stuff.
I think it could be fun. John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli teamed up to beat John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Moxley using a Darce choke to choke out, I think it was Reynolds.
Yeah.
Continued to choke him out after the match. That Darce choke wasn't anywhere near sunk in, by the way. And I don't know if you know how to apply a Darce choke, John, but it was not really close what he was doing. Just so you know.
Well, a lot of his chokes don't look like they're completely put in whatsoever, too. So,
Well, that is
like
a choke. What he's trying to do was a choke, but his arms were in the wrong spot. I mean, I get you don't want to choke him out completely, but there's a way to make that look a little bit more snug. That Darce choke was ugly, but, whatever. And they said Darce choke, and they're saying Moxley. I think they even said Moxley using jiu-jitsu skills or something. I was like, is he, though? But it was a cool attempt. I mean, I give him props for, using a Darce choke in pro wrestling, but I also hate the application of it because it was so far off from what it's supposed to look like. So they keep choking out the guy. They beat up Silver, and then Evil Uno shows up to help and attack Moxley, stop him from killing Alex Reynolds, because, if you keep choking a man while he's unconscious and has no air, you're going to kill him, right? I mean, he could have died. If he's really doing that, he dies. Wheeler takes out Evil Uno, though, so Hangman comes out to help his Dark Order friends who have disappeared. Claudio taps Hangman on the shoulder, so Hangman punches him, and then Claudio attacks Hangman, and so do Mox and Wheeler, and there's a big brawl, and referees come out to stop the fight. So it looks like Moxley and Hangman are not done. Even though Hangman says he wanted to be done, they're not done. And I kind of feel like after that match, they should be done. I feel like they could move on. I don't know why they have to stick together now. This seems like a misstep.
Well, the problem was, you went into that match, Moxley had won 2 matches out of the 3. So Hangman won that match, and they were even. So, to me, it wasn't over, really. They just, were square. So, yeah, someone's got to get the advantage here. Thus,
Why?
the 6-man tag.
I think you could just make it even.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen like that. Someone has to get an advantage here.
You don't need a 6-man tag. 6-man tag doesn't settle it. It's one-on-one matches that really matter, right?
Well, now it's going to be a war. Before it was just a one-on-one thing. Now it's going to be factions, it looks like.
Okay. Well, kind of factions. Groups that used to be bigger that are now 3-man. Right?
Right.
Dark Order and the whatever club. Moxley's Combat Club. So then we had the main event, and we had Hobbs and Wardlow. They start in the parking lot. It's a Falls Count Anywhere match. Hobbs took a backdrop through a windshield. We got back into the arena when we get back from the commercial break. What a coincidence there. Wardlow did a swanton off the top rope to the floor, threw a table on Hobbs, which was kind of nuts. He powerbombed Hobbs on the ramp, too, which seemed rough. Wardlow went up to the stage with Hobbs to powerbomb him off the stage, but QT Marshall showed up with a chair and hit Wardlow with it a few times. And the commentary team was talking about Hobbs cashing in his chip with QT and some sort of Hobbs angle that has been going on. I don't know where, but I don't know what the hell they were talking about. QT picked Hobbs up, helped him to his feet, and they powerbombed Wardlow off the stage onto a wood platform thing. And Wardlow didn't answer the referee's 10 count, so he lost the match. And Hobbs is now the new TNT champion. I mean, the match was okay for what it was, a Falls Count Anywhere type of fight all over the arena thing. It was not a classic by any stretch. I didn't understand QT's involvement. Do you know what the hell they were talking about on commentary? Excalibur was trying to crowbar an explanation into the story here, but It was, he was talking all fast and it made no sense.
Well, as far as I can remember, this goes back to when I believe Hobbs was feuding with Ricky Starks. And there was a promo, I don't know if it was on Dynamite or Rampage, but they did something where QT went up to Hobbs saying that he needed a favor for him and he helped him out kind of thing to take out Ricky Starks. So the Nightmare Factory was helping him in a sense. So now this is repaying the favor.
Wait, the Nightmare Factory helped Hobbs?
Or there was a little both helping each other kind of thing. Hobbs was helping QT with something, then said he'd help him with something. So I guess this is it now.
When was this?
This was, I guess, back because that's when Hobbs was feuding with Starks. So that was back in the summer. So that was in August, I think. Yeah, you really got to be on the ball with your AEW storylines to know what's going on.
Pretty minor, too. It's a pretty minor thing that happened there. They expect us to remember. But okay, Hobbs is now the TNT champion. Wardlow just won it at the pay-per-view, now has lost it to Hobbs. I don't know. They're trying to push their homegrown guys. Hobbs is a big guy, looks the part. Other than that, he's got an interesting backstory. But there's a lot missing there. Similar to Wardlow, there's a lot missing there. The matches are mid. The promos are lower mid. Both guys. Their look is A+, but everything else kind of falls apart. Wardlow and Hobbs' matches have got better, but their promos have not. And that matters. So, it's hard to care about guys that don't say anything interesting, ever. If you're super boring and bland all the time, it's hard to want to watch you. You got to spice things up a little bit. Hobbs has done nothing. He's done zero of interest. He looks cool, but I don't know. Am I missing something here, John?
Well, the way I looked at it was that no one, I think, had successfully cashed in the whole ring, I guess, the brass ring, right?
The big Cheerio. The golden Cheerio.
The donut, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. No one had ever successfully done it before, so I guess they had to actually show this was something that was worth winning, I guess. That if you won it, you could actually cash in. So someone finally did it correctly. So that had to happen, I think. Hobbs is all right, too. I think there's a lot of potential there. Give him a shot with the title.
It's just another uninteresting AEW guy with a belt.
We don't know how far he can go with it, though. But, give him a shot with the title.
Why? What has he done to make people go, I want him to have a belt? What has he done? Who's he impressed?
In terms of matches, I guess it's more the people behind the scenes that he's impressed.
Yeah. But as far as the people, as far as us, the guys who watch this every week, what has he really done?
Well, I mean, if you look at him from when he first started, I mean, there's been dramatic improvements. I'm not saying he's at the top level yet, but he has shown improvements over the years. So I feel like if you want him to keep progressing, he's got to keep going in this kind of direction.
I feel like AEW pushes big jack guys once in a while because they don't have many big jack guys and they know that they have to have a few, so they push them hard because, they need to. But there's no real rhyme or reason behind it. It's just well, we're kind of a small company. Let's push a couple muscle guys. Where a guy like Hobbs or Wardlow, I think that they would just kind of disappear in the WWE because they wouldn't look that impressive. Where in AEW, they kind of look gigantic. And that's why they get a push. It's not interesting.
Well, I feel like Hobbs has something interesting though. We just haven't seen enough of him yet. As you
Okay.
said, like he has a very interesting story.
I'll take your word for it. I haven't seen it. Those Book of Hobbs promos were okay at best. Like, the story was kind of like, oh my God, your brother got shot in front of you? That's terrible. But other than that,
Right.
you know, like, I don't mean any disrespect. It's a horrible story. But past that story, what is there? And if that's your only story, like, geez, I don't know, man. It's kind of dark. I don't know. There's got to be more to Hobbs. Whatever he's going to do, we'll see. But I haven't been overly impressed with him or Wardlow, and that match didn't do much to change that. That's AEW this week. Not the best episode of Dynamite. I thought Raw and SmackDown were both better.
Oh, I didn't think Raw was better. SmackDown, yeah, possibly. Raw though, oof.
Raw was pretty cool this week, though. They had the Sami Zayn stuff. They had the John Cena promo.
Okay, you had some good segments. Match-wise, though?
Yeah.
Ooh.
We didn't have great matches. They started the show with Paul Heyman backstage with Solo Sikoa and Jey Uso. They're there to solve the Sami Zayn problem and the Kevin Owens problem. So we opened the show with Kevin Owens against Solo Sikoa in a match that Kevin Owens wins by disqualification when Jey Uso attacks him. Jimmy and Solo beat up Kevin Owens after the match. Sami Zayn showed up, made the save, chased them off, extended his hand to Kevin Owens to help him up, but Kevin Owens denies the handshake and rolls out of the ring. Let's stick with this Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens stuff before we get to the rest. Sami Zayn approaches Kevin Owens backstage later on. Sami is frustrated and tells him that the bloodline is too much for either of them to fight alone. And they don't have to be best friends again, but they have a common goal, and the only way to be successful taking out the bloodline is to do it together. Kevin Owens says he remembers Sami being in the bloodline, and when he was doing so, it was at his expense. And he's been fighting the bloodline alone for 8 months and doesn't want to do it with Sami. Kevin tells Sami to go apologize to Roman, and maybe he'll take him back, and walks away. So Kevin Owens wants nothing to do with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn says, we need to stick together, otherwise they're going to destroy us. I like that Kevin Owens isn't forgiving Sami right away. Why should he? Right? I've been fighting these guys for 8 months by myself, and now you're with me? I don't think so, buddy. I thought that was good.
Well, it's on par to what, Kevin would actually be like, stubborn. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I agree with that. I was just disappointed in the match, though. I thought a match with him and Solo, I'm like, wow, this could be a really good match. Like, it had potential, but it never really turned into, like, an incredible match, sadly. One, because we hammered by these commercial breaks every time the match starts. So it's like it's really hard to get into a match, period. And then by the time it really gets going, the match is pretty much over. And for whatever reason, the first two matches were just, like, drowning in, like, outside interference until finally there's DQ. So it just looked kind of ridiculous watching the first two matches. I'm like, why are we even trying here? When you just have people, like, constantly trying to interfere throughout the whole match, it just makes it look all ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, that's WWE TV wrestling, though, for the most part.
In the first 15 minutes, like, it was particularly bad because it was just way overdone in the first two matches. Like, at least sometimes when they space it out, it's not so bad. But in your first 15 minutes, you had, like, 6 outside interference attempts. And, of course, one ends in a DQ because, like, how many times can you interfere without it being a DQ? But it was getting ridiculous. And you're just starting the show.
Yeah.
I had enough of the first hour after that.
Well, they're building the story, right? They're building the story. They've got Solo and Jimmy beating up Kevin, and then Sami had to run in and do the save. That's really what it was about. It wasn't really about the match. You know what I mean? But I get your point.
Well, that's the problem. The wrestling is like the last thing you should care about, sadly, and it's like actually it should be the most important thing you care about, but unfortunately,
These
it's not.
shows are promotional to build WrestleMania at this point, John. I think, you're going to see the wrestling at Mania. And right now we're just in the build stage. Later on, we had the main event. It was Sami Zayn versus Jimmy Uso. Solo Sikoa was in Jimmy's corner. He got ejected from ringside after going near Sami outside the ring and threatening the Samoan Spike. Jey Uso showed up during the match. Looks like he was cheering on his brother. Jimmy got momentarily distracted by Jey Uso and then rolled up by Sami Zayn for the win for Sami. Jimmy looked dejected after the match. Jey doesn't look happy about the result, but he doesn't look too happy with his brother. He comes in the ring, takes his brother by the shoulders, grabs him by the shirt, and makes a fist. And Jey looks sad and then leaves the ring. And then Jey walks to Sami and hugs Sami Zayn. So it appears at this moment that Jey has decided not to be with the Bloodline anymore and to align himself with Sami Zayn. Jimmy looks very sad in the ring. Jey puts the one up for the Bloodline. Sami puts his one up too. And it seems like they're together. Fans chant, "Holy shit," they can't believe it. And then, boom, super kick from Jey Uso, knocking down Sami. Jey yells at Sami, punches him, says, "You think I was going to choose you? This family shit." Jey tosses Sami back in the ring. Jey and Jimmy beat down Sami Zayn. Solo gets in on the action, starts beating up Sami. But Cody Rhodes comes out and chases off the bad guys and checks on Sami Zayn as the Usos leave the ring. Solo kind of still wanted to fight Cody, but the Usos were pulling him back. And that's how Raw ended. It's a hell of a post-match angle there with Sami Zayn and the Usos. Played to perfection. The timing on that was perfect. They got the crowd believing. They got me believing. I was watching that thing and, oh, wait a second. Jey Uso, what's he doing here? They're going to put Jey with Sami? Like, what's happening? And then, boom, Jey kicks Sami. And I was happy that Jey kicked Sami because I got a brother, I wouldn't let anybody come between me and my brother, try to turn us against each other. That's not cool. You can't turn family against each other. So I was with family. I'm pro-family. So I like Jimmy and Jey being together. Sami Zayn trying to draw a wedge between the families. That's not cool. So Jey Uso attacking Sami. I see the Usos as the baby faces in that one, but that's just because I'm family first, Yeah, it was really great, man. Sami sold it great. The Jey Uso was amazing. Amazing. Perfect timing on that super kick. When the fans were just like, what the hell? And then boom, and then they're like, no. It was great. Great stuff to finish Raw. One of the best end of Raw angles that you'll see in the WWE. One of the best. Perfect.
So yeah, post-match, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But actual match?
Yeah, I know, but it's not about that.
Yeah, well, you're building the whole show to like this main event. Throughout the whole show, you're hyping this main event. And then you barely showed anything. It was like 2 minutes, 5 minutes of action. And you went to 2 commercial breaks. You barely showed anything. Terrible.
The main event angle, though. It's about the angle. Like, that's the thing, man. The matches, it's not like AEW where they have 4 pay-per-views a year. I mean, they do a bunch of pay-per-views. They got to just use the TV as building time for the pay-per-views where you get the wrestling. You know how it works, John.
You have 3-hour show and you can't like give us a quality main event? Come on. Something's wrong there.
Okay. A great angle afterwards, though.
Yeah, well, that's it. They focus more on the story, which I get it. That's what draws people in. But you have the opportunity to give us a good wrestling match, and you choose not to, I guess. Like for some reason, let's hide the wrestling. It's like shameful for some reason. But let's give them the soap opera, which is fine, but it's not what I want to see the most.
But they need to advance the story and figure out where Jey Uso is and how he aligns, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Like, they need to set that match up. They got to do it somehow.
Fine. You can still give us a match. Like, the fact that they couldn't give us a match, but we have to sit through, like, 40 minutes of promos every week. Like, I think time management's not working out. Like, if Vince is backstage, like, he's got to say something, I think.
But if they give us a match here, like it's Sami versus Jimmy, like if they're doing a WrestleMania match in 3 weeks, don't you have to save it?
It's a tag match. It's totally different.
Okay. I'm not going to get you. So the Usos are together. Sami and Kevin Owens still not together. Sami seems like him and Cody Rhodes are more friendly than him and Kevin Owens. So they're still trying to figure that out.
Cody was talking to Kevin backstage, so.
Oh. So you think he's trying to mend the fences? Cody will act as the peacemaker?
Something's going to happen. I expect Cody's going to team up with Sami, I'm guessing, from the way SmackDown ended, so.
Okay. Well, let's get to SmackDown. Let's continue on with the main story in the WWE before we get to everything else, right?
The only story.
Yeah, it's the only real story. Paul Heyman welcomed the Usos in the parking lot. Jey Uso doesn't seem too happy to see Heyman. Says he wants to see the tribal chief, right?
He's not there.
He's like, let the tribal chief know that I'm here and I want to see him. But he was not there. So when he said that to open up the show, I thought, oh, Roman's on the show. And then Roman wasn't on the show. What happened? Where's Roman?
Well, he just wasn't there.
But why was Jey Uso saying, oh, tribal chief, tell tribal chief I'm here? That was weird, wasn't it?
Well, I guess for whatever, you can tell him he's there. It doesn't mean that he's actually at the show. You can call him up, I guess.
Why? What? Why open the show saying, hey, tell the tribal chief I'm here if he's not there? It was very weird. Because it really made me expect to see Roman Reigns on the show. Didn't it make you expect to see Roman after that?
Yeah, but didn't they say last week that, like, Jimmy's got to fix the whole thing and, like, he's got to get Jey to show up?
Roman said, you fix it or I'm going to blame you. You have 1 week. Right. Either you fix it or I blame you. But he never said, like, I'm not going to be there. It was weird that Roman wasn't on the show tonight. True. It was weird.
Oh, he doesn't need to be there every week. It makes it a bigger deal when he's there, so.
Maybe he's sick or something. I don't know. It was odd. Anyways, Heyman cut a promo backstage about Cody Rhodes. What do you think of Heyman's whole promo about hitting him with the truth and getting in his head before the match so Cody will already be defeated before WrestleMania and then he'll acknowledge the tribal chief? What was that all? I didn't love it.
I don't think he really had anything to say, so he just came up with nonsense pretty much.
It felt like nonsense. It felt like pure nonsense. All right, we got to the meat of it later on in the show when the Usos cut an in-ring promo as the last segment of the night. Jey Uso says the people have been asking him why he betrayed Sami Zayn. Asked the crowd what would they do if they were in his shoes. He says they would do anything for their family, and Jey did it because he had to, because it's his family. He says he didn't want to do it to Sami Zayn, but he had no choice because Jimmy's his brother, not Sami. Jey blames Sami Zayn and says Sami is selfish, and all Sami had to do was fall in line, but he doesn't know anything about that because he's not blood and he never will be. Jimmy says they got rid of the Sami Zayn problem, and now the only problem to get rid of is Cody Rhodes. Cue Cody Rhodes music. He comes out and he says that he doesn't answer to Roman Reigns. He only answers to the people. And the people don't want to see him talk. They want to see him fight. And the Usos warn him that if he takes one more step to the ring, he's not going to make it to WrestleMania, which makes sense because it's two guys, and it's the Usos. Cody's feeling bold. But maybe Cody knew that Sami Zayn was going to jump Jimmy Uso from behind. Cody Rhodes jumped in the ring, attacked Jey. They brawled around the ring, around the arena. Cody was struggling to take off his shirt. I don't know if you noticed that. He had some trouble there. And then they brawled into the crowd, then back in the ring where they cleared the Usos over the top rope and stood tall. Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes ending SmackDown as conquering heroes. Not bad. Not a bad ending to SmackDown. Fun to see Cody. Didn't expect Cody. Thought we'd see Roman. Instead, Cody. And the Usos said they took out Sami Zayn on Raw. They beat him up. They took him out, but apparently not because he was here on SmackDown. Sami's on all the shows. Sami and Jimmy Uso were the main event of Raw, but I'm pretty sure they're both SmackDown wrestlers. Right?
Yeah, well, Judgment Day was on both shows, right?
Yep. Some people are on both shows now. Doesn't seem to matter. But the main event promo there from the Usos, I thought was solid on SmackDown tonight. Not bad.
Yeah, well, Jay got the whole point across, like, it was interesting him saying, like, he didn't want to do it. So that was very intriguing, actually. But, he chose family over Sami, so. But, it made sense. And just, it helps bring the story closer to this tag team match. We're 3 weeks away from WrestleMania. Still not official yet, but we're getting there.
How do you think they figure out a way to get Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn together for a match against the Usos?
Well, I think Sami and Cody are going to get beat down by the whole bloodline, and Kevin will make the save, and Cody will be like, hey, like, you guys need to work together, kind of thing. They've already planted the seeds for that, so I think that's how it's pretty much going to come together.
Mm-hmm. Cody.
Yep.
Mending the fences. Okay, I could see that. All right. Elsewhere here in the WWE, back on Raw, we had Bobby Lashley doing a promo about Bray Wyatt, says he wants Bray to face him like a man. So I guess that'll happen at some point. Ugh. That's one match I don't want to see at WrestleMania.
We didn't get on SmackDown at least, so that was nice.
Yeah. Bianca Belair wrestled Carmella and beat her with the KOD despite Chelsea Green interfering in Carmella's corner. Chelsea Green attacked Bianca after the match, but Asuka made the save. Asuka and Bianca are wrestling each other at Mania, but they seem to be friends now. Asuka blew the mist in Chelsea's face, and the crowd chanted for Asuka while Asuka and Bianca faced off awkwardly again. They do that weird face-off where they're kind of standing. They don't look at each other. They're both kind of standing and like looking at the WrestleMania sign. It's weird. Right. The build to Asuka and Bianca has been terrible.
Well, let's face it. I mean, it was supposed to be Bianca and Rhea, right? That was they've been teasing that for pretty much a couple of months. And then they went a completely different direction with it. So they just had to throw in a feud out of nowhere. And yeah, there's no real heat between the two of them, so it's kind of tough. They're just making the best they can with it. Problem is too, like these matches, like Bianca's gonna face like Chelsea Green next week. Like, how does that build up that title match at Mania?
It doesn't.
Well, it's just a match that happens, and that's it. We move on. It's like Charlotte this week, just a match to help move on. But at least Rhea was there. Added something at the end.
At least Rhea and Charlotte seems like they don't like each other. At least they seem like they're opposition. Asuka and Bianca are like weird friends.
Well, they were a faction or a team, remember, at Survivor Series, so.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not working. The Miz hosted Miz TV with Logan Paul and Seth Rollins. fans were singing for a while for Seth, and then Logan cut them off and said, this segment has a time limit, so shut up. And the fans kept singing. I thought Logan Paul was really good in this segment. Seth did the whole introducing of himself. I am a visionary. I am a revolutionary. Like, come on. You're a revolutionary? In what way is Seth Rollins a revolutionary? Like, just he says things, I am a da-da-da. And I'm like, you are a fucking bore. Like, you are annoying. I don't know how he's a babyface. How is he a babyface? He's garbage. Wrestling-wise, he's very good in the ring, but character-wise, he's terrible. Logan Paul showed Seth, and Logan Paul killed Seth in this promo. Killed him. Logan says, Seth is mad because I'm better at his job than he is. Seth is on his way out, and I'm on my way in. I work smarter, not harder. And I was like, fair enough. And I think even the fans were like, oh, shit. And Miz says, Logan, you're making some good points. And the crowd didn't like that, so they chanted, fuck you, Logan. And Seth says, we hate Logan because he's a coward, which, I don't know. And he's a fraud, which is true. He is a fraud. I think he's got some sort of weird fraudulent crypto business that he's got going. And we don't want him in our house in the WWE. What?
It's a potential scam. I don't think it's actually been proven that it's a scam yet.
It seems like a scam. Anyways,
it seems like it. Potential. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I tried that Prime drink that he's got.
You said it was good. Kool-Aid, no?
AJ made me say it was good. It wasn't that good. I'll tell you this.
Oh, wow.
I'll never buy another bottle of that. $7 for a bottle of that? Ridiculous. Not worth it. That's a scam, too. Seth says...
AJ has that power.
Well, he I don't know. He's like, no, say it's good. Say it's good. I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, it's good. It's okay. I didn't love it. I thought you could read between the lines. All right. Anyways, Seth says we don't want Logan Paul in our house in the WWE. And he wants to fight right now. And Logan Paul says, I don't fight for free. We'll do it at WrestleMania. And Miz is like, hey, I'm the host of WrestleMania. I can get matches made. And Seth is like, oh, yeah, really? So he tosses Miz out of the ring and says, go make the match. And then Logan tries to curb stomp Seth, but Seth pushes him away. But Miz comes back and attacks Seth from behind, takes a super kick, but then allows Logan to throw a big punch on Seth that knocks Seth out. And Seth sold it pretty well. Like, Seth made that punch look pretty good, right? He got hit.
Well,
he hit the deck, and he just, sat there for a while. He looked good.
The first angle looked like the punch didn't even connect whatsoever, but then they changed the angle of it, and it looked a lot better.
Yeah.
With that camera angle. The first angle looked horrific, though. It looked like it didn't even hit him.
Yeah, I thought Seth did a good job of selling it, though. Logan told Seth that he'll let him know about WrestleMania when he wakes up. So there you go. Logan versus Seth official for WrestleMania. We got that done this week.
It's night one, too.
Yeah, night one. Omos beat Dolph Ziggler in a squash. Mustafa Ali was in the front row cheering for Ziggler for some reason. MVP cut a promo after the match about Brock Lesnar, and apparently Brock Lesnar and Omos are going to be face-to-face in the ring coming up on Monday. And this is a Vince match, apparently. Vince McMahon wanted this match. And Vince McMahon was backstage at Raw this week. Apparently in Gorilla the whole time, and he had a mustache. Vince grew a mustache, which I got to see. There's got to be pictures of that somewhere. And, I don't know if he's taking control back or he was just there visiting because John Cena was there and Vince and Cena are friends, but interesting, the Vince McMahon backstage at Raw this week. Who knows what that means? Same week, WWE announces they're going back to Saudi Arabia on May 27th for the King and Queen of the Ring event. Interesting.
I wonder how that's going to go down too. Like, are we going to get the full tournament, or is that just going to be like the finals and that's it?
I don't know. It'd be cool if they did a full tournament in one night, but who knows?
Doubtful.
The Maximum Models and Maxine are backstage talking about how excellent Otis looks, and Baron Corbin shows up and thinks they're talking about him, so he's very complimented. But then he's all sad when he finds out they're not talking about him, and Maxine wants Corbin to take out Chad Gable tonight, and then she'll consider taking him on as a client. I'm not really sure what's going on with the Models and Otis and Gable, because then Corbin had the match with Gable that he lost. Gable won with the ankle lock, made Corbin tap out. Otis was in Gable's corner and was very happy about the win. So Maxine wants Otis to be part of the model crew, and now she's trying to get wrestlers to take out Chad Gable so Otis has nobody to be with, so he joins the model crew. But Otis seems down with being in the model crew. So, I think he just wants to do both. And he seems like he's trying to teach Chad Gable to be a model at the same time. So I don't really know what the hell's going on here, because it seems like they want Otis in the group. Otis wants to be in the group. Well, no. Maxine wants him in the group, but the other two dudes don't seem to want him in the group. Otis wants to be one of the models, and Gable, I think, wants to be a model too, but Maxine only wants Otis for whatever reason. Do I have this right?
You have it right, and they're trying to get rid of Gable, so then they only have Otis. So that's why.
Wouldn't that upset Otis? Because he likes Gable. When Gable won the match, Otis was very happy.
Well, their belief is that if he's not in the picture, then it's easier to get him as a model, I guess. That seems to be the story that they're telling, I think.
It is fucking stupid.
Well, no kidding.
It makes no sense. Johnny Gargano beat Finn Balor. I mean, that
was due to distraction, though.
That's the story. Edge's music hit, which sent Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest to the stage. Edge came from behind and pushed Finn off the top rope, which helped Gargano get the win. Dexter Lumis dropped Damian Priest after the match, and Edge hit the spear on Finn. Edge wants to settle things with Finn Balor in the ring next week. Finn Balor wants to wrestle at Mania. So I think it's going to be Finn versus Edge at Mania, and they'll do some sort of confrontation on Monday night. But it seems like Edge is like, nah, let's just do it on Raw. He's like, oh, I'll be in the ring. Let's settle the score Monday night. And Finn's like, how about WrestleMania? So what's the deal?
Well, that's pretty much how it's going to go down. Edge will challenge him Monday night, and then Finn will be like, I accept, but for Mania.
Yeah. Okay. Piper Niven beat Nikki Cross after a slam that didn't quite work out. Piper's nose was bleeding after the match. It was short, but it was not great. So there's that.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah. John Cena. John Cena. I wonder what you thought of this promo, John, because a lot of it was good, but you're not a big Cena fan, so we'll see. Cena came out to a huge ovation. They were in Boston, his hometown. Those people love John Cena. I've seen Cena in Boston a couple of times. I've been at shows in Boston where Cena has performed, and my God, those people love him. You know,
he's their hero, yeah.
I know, but you could feel it. Like they really love their hometown guy. Cena gets to the ring, and Austin Theory comes out immediately. And we're off and running here with Theory and Cena. Theory says he's got respect for Cena, and he's the reason that he became a WWE superstar. Looking up to him, growing up, watching Cena. He's got a gift for him, and that gift is a match against him at WrestleMania. Cena says no. Cena says no because Theory hasn't earned the gift to give. Cena says he's been watching Theory and listening, and he doesn't care, just like the rest of the people there. Cena says, we don't care about you because we don't believe you, and we don't believe you because you don't believe you. Cena says you're a generic kid wearing sunglasses indoors, and that he's the ghost of Christmas future, and Theory is stuck in the ruthless aggression phase that almost got John Cena fired. I mean, Cena just killed Theory in this promo. We don't care because we don't believe you, and we don't believe you because you don't believe you. Oh, crushed him. Cena just continued to just obliterate this kid. He says Theory has been giving every opportunity after opportunity, but the opportunities aren't enough because Theory has no heart or soul. Which is just great because it's a thing that WWE does with people that they're trying to push. They give them, stories and matches and stories and matches, and they keep them involved. But sometimes these guys are just so bland and they have nothing behind them that it doesn't register because the performer that you're giving all this stuff to isn't that exciting. Cena says the Theory is a pair of trunks away from being a jabroni. But he does have one good thing, his name, Austin Theory. It's the best name in WWE history because it suits him so well. Because all he is a theory. In theory, he should be great. In theory, he's everything a WWE executive looks for. And in theory, everyone should be there to see him. But no one cares, and he's wasting our time. Oh, when Cena goes, no one cares and you're wasting our time, I fucking lost it. Oh, my God. Cena says, on behalf of Boston, we'd like to give you a gift. Shut up, turn around, get out of the ring, and we'll let you walk out of here in one piece. But Theory is not leaving. He says, I'm not going anywhere, just like the bald spot on your head. But Cena is fine with that. He takes his hat off. He says he's proud of it. Theory wonders if John Cena is giving up. What happened to never give up? What happened to the hustle, the loyalty, and the respect? Theory says you don't want to meet your heroes because all they do is disappoint. Cena's like, yeah, all right, Theory. I'm giving up. He's like, I would rather be bald than have them pipe in fake crowd noise for my matches because nobody cares. It was just like shot after shot. Just killing him. Cena says Theory really is a dumb son of a bitch. He said no to the match to save Theory because he's not ready. Cena says if they have a match and Theory wins, he loses everything. But if he wins the match, he also loses everything. This is where Cena kind of lost me in the promo. It didn't really make a lot of sense. Cena says that Theory's got to go out the Monday after Raw and deal with the audience who's going to eat him alive, and Cena won't be there. Cena basically saying, if you beat me, if you lose to me, you still have to survive in the WWE without me after I'm gone. You don't want this match because it'll put you in a spot where you're so high up that there's nowhere to go but down. And that's really what Cena was saying, but the way he got there was kind of weird. Cena then asked the people, though, what he should do. Because Theory insulted the people, so Cena took it personally. And he says the people decide what I'm going to do, and the fans chant, yes, yes, yes. And then he wishes Theory luck because you're going to need it. Because we all know. So Cena accepting the match at this point, and he says, we wish you luck because you don't have it in here, points to his head. You don't have it in here, points to his heart. And you don't have it here, and taps him in the balls. And then as Cena walks away, he tells Theory, you really need to work on that last part. Saying you've got a small penis or something because he just touched it. And Cena says Theory isn't ready for the WrestleMania stage, but he wants to introduce someone who is, and then he introduces Cody Rhodes. And Cody comes out and hugs Cena and talks to Cena on the stage. We can't hear what they're saying. Cena holds Cody's arm up and says, this is the guy, you know. But no promo, no nothing. It was just at the end of Cena's promo when he leaves, he introduces Cody for the crowd. Cody takes a bow, hugs Cena, and then leaves. Cody didn't do anything but that on Raw. That was all that Cody did on Raw. It was a cool moment, like kind of Cena saying, hey, this is the guy here, Cody Rhodes. It was all right, but man, the promo beforehand, fantastic. Austin Theory did not show up for that. Austin Theory needs to come back next week with something because he got obliterated by John Cena. And, you know, John Cena had those matches with The Rock where The Rock would obliterate him in promos, but Cena would come back on The Rock and have good stuff. You know? They went back and forth. I don't know if Austin Theory's ready for this. Cena's going 100% on him, and Austin Theory's like, what? He was not ready. Theory had nothing for Cena right now. Nothing. And when Cena says you're not ready, I think he's right. Because look and in the ring, he's pretty good, but promo-wise, Theory's not there. And it showed here. Cena challenged him. That's how I saw that. Cena's like, let's go. And Theory had nothing. He's like, oh, you're bald. It's like, all right. He didn't have much. I love the John Cena promo. Johnny, I know you're not a big John Cena fan. What did you think?
Well, I just look at it in the sense of, like, how is this supposed to get us excited for the match at WrestleMania? Like, to me, this didn't really help sell the match in a good way whatsoever. Like, why should anyone care about this match when apparently we shouldn't even care about one of the wrestlers? Like, I don't understand how you just completely destroy somebody and then, like, oh yeah, I'm going to wrestle him too, by the way, for a championship, which apparently as well doesn't mean anything, I guess. You know, they could have taken this in a far better direction. Like, the whole idea of that this match, if Cena wins, he beats the record for most, like, U.S. title wins. But they don't go in that direction whatsoever because, like, apparently that doesn't mean anything. Because it's all about, like, let's just, you know, get the whole reaction and, like, oh, I said all these shooty comments. That's what's going to get everyone talking. That's what they went for instead. And that was disappointing. And, like, you say Theory didn't have anything to come back with. I mean, it's a scripted promo. It's because they didn't give him anything to come back with. And it's not like, okay, come back. This is your time to say something. Like, they give him the bald spot thing, so then Cena can come back and destroy him some more. Like, I don't understand, in terms of selling a match, how you just completely destroy somebody and expect anyone to care about the match afterwards. Because you said, like, nobody cares. So why should we care?
Well, Cena's just stating the obvious, that people don't really care about Austin Theory. You're just speaking the truth.
Make us care. So make us care. Find a reason. I gave you a couple of reasons right there why we should care.
Cena's going to give you the reason. Here's the reason, John. Cena's going to wrestle him and lose to him at WrestleMania. And then there's more of a reason to care about Austin Theory because he beat John Cena.
But he even said it. He's like, if you lose, you still, you know, if you win, you still lose. So it's like, it's a lose-lose situation for him anyways, the way he pictured it.
Yeah. Well, he's challenging him. He's saying, look, you know, you may get the match with me, but after, you got to do it without me. Let's see how you do. I thought it was all right. I mean, it didn't make me want to see the match more, but I don't know. Like, I care so little about Austin Theory, it's hard for me to want to see any of his matches. Cena didn't make me care more about Austin Theory, but I don't know if that's his job. It's kind of tough. Theory's got to step up. Like, this is his time to step up. What about the responsibility on Austin Theory? Step up. If that's a scripted promo, make sure you get some shit in. You know what the words are ahead of time. Come on, man. You got to step up at that point. He had nothing. Nothing to offer. Will Cena appear on Raw again before WrestleMania, or was that it?
I mean, they're in Providence. I mean, is it that far for him, like, to get there? I mean, unless there's some sort of commitment that he has, like, I don't see why he can't be there.
Okay. Jeez. It's bad for Theory if Cena shows up, because Cena just kills him on the mic. Becky Lynch and Lita cut a promo in the ring about winning the tag team titles. Lita thanks Becky, wants to thank somebody else. Trish Stratus comes out and says she wouldn't have missed Lita's tag team title match for the world. Damage Control comes to the ring. Bayley says that Lita and Trish are here to steal the spotlight and they're being selfish. Says Trish and Lita are the reason that she's in the ring, but she and Damage Control will also be the reason that Trish and Lita never come back to the ring. And Trish tells Bayley that she could go from being retired to unretired at any moment and challenges them to a match at WrestleMania, which Bayley accepts. Io and Dakota seem not to like it, but then they try to attack, but get taken out by Trish and Lita. Bayley and Becky have a face-off. Bayley goes to leave when she realizes that she's surrounded, but Lita and Trish get in her face. Bayley throws a punch, gets blocked, and punched by Becky. And then Lita hits Bayley, and Trish does too, and Bayley stumbles out of the ring. So what we got there, this was, not terrible. The final punches there at the end were kind of odd. They didn't seem fluid. But this is the match here for WrestleMania. Damage Control, Io, Dakota, and Bayley against Trish, Lita, and Becky in a 6-woman tag. The newly crowned tag team champions Becky and Lita, at least now, not set to defend at WrestleMania. Instead, wrestling in a 6-woman tag. Could change, but the suspected opponents of Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler were not even on SmackDown tonight. So, I don't know. Weird.
Well, you have to wonder about Ronda's injury, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how severe is that? Maybe that changes the WrestleMania plan. So maybe that's why they had to go with this instead. Like, you could still do a 4 corners and then just do a tag team championship match the next night. It could still happen. But that can also wait until another pay-per-view, possibly. Or premium live event.
Well, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a cool match. Trish and Lita and Becky as a team.
That's all right. I can't say it's like a dream match. Like, I'm waiting for this 6-woman tag. But, I mean, it's good for them. They get this cool moment, I guess. Bayley, Dakota,
Yeah.
Io. Like, it's good for them. Like, but I can't say for everyone. We've been dying to see this kind of match, But cool for Trish. She gets another WrestleMania moment. Lita, too, It's nice for him.
Yeah. It's not bad. Trish and Lita, always good. As far as the nostalgia and the star power, but I don't know. I'm hoping the match is good. Just what I've seen from Trish or from Lita and even Trish so far has made me wonder about the match quality. So hoping for the best. Okay, so that was basically what happened on Raw this week. Over on SmackDown, we already covered all that Bloodline stuff. Outside of that, we had Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Xavier Woods, LA Knight, and Karrion Kross in a fatal 5-way for an Intercontinental title shot at WrestleMania. Xavier Woods replacing Kofi Kingston, who got hurt in the match last week. It was probably off that.
Well, the segment.
Yeah, whatever it was, right? Didn't he catch somebody and it looked really bad?
Caught Drew.
He caught Drew. Did he get hurt on that?
Well, he caught all of Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sheamus landed on him, too, for some reason.
Yeah. So Kofi got hurt after what happened last week. Woods took his spot, did not win. Drew and Sheamus. Sheamus hit a brogue on Woods. Well, kind of hit a brogue. Completely missed him, and the camera angle caught how off it was. But Woods sold it like it hit him. And then Drew hit the Claymore on LA Knight. And Sheamus and Drew both go for covers. And a second referee came out of nowhere and jumped in the ring to count 1, 2, 3 for Sheamus as he had a pinfall. And Drew and Sheamus both won the match. The fans chanted triple threat. I mean, the internet is already telling us that it's going to be Drew, Sheamus, and Gunther in a triple threat at WrestleMania. I don't know why we have to go through this stuff. It's already been reported by like everybody for weeks now. But, whatever. We're going through it anyways. And I thought we were going to be done with it tonight. But no, Drew and Sheamus will wrestle each other next week to determine the opponent for Gunther. And we'll have some sort of non-finish there, and it'll be a triple threat. Whatever. Match wasn't great.
Well, the 5-way, I thought it was very slow to get going.
Mm-hmm.
I thought once Xavier got in there, he started bringing some good offense in there. Match started to pick up a little bit. Again, the stupid, let's go to commercial break the second the match starts happened again. But thankfully, this was 2 commercial breaks, so the match actually got going eventually. You actually saw some action, and the ending sequence was all right. But like you said, a little sloppy here and there. Some things were a little bit off, but not a bad opening match, not a great opening match, but interesting the way they've got the story going now. And I personally would love to see WrestleMania 10. You don't do a triple threat, just Gunther wants an opponent. Well, he is going to get Drew first and then Sheamus next or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They have 2 nights of Mania. They could do that.
You'd have to have if Gunther wrestles Drew first, Sheamus would have to wrestle somebody else on night 1, though.
That's true. Yeah, fine. He could
I don't know
wrestle
if they
one
do
of his
that.
Imperium guys.
I think it'll be
They
a triple
won't do
threat.
that.
It'll be a triple threat. They'll find a way to do it. They'll have some sort of non-finish next week. Gunther will interfere in the Drew versus Sheamus match, right? Imperium will interfere, and they'll say, well, it's a triple threat now, Gunther. Right? Something like that.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. But I'm just, because it's 2 nights, I mean, they could pull this off.
It's just, it's like the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens against the Usos thing, but it's more annoying because the build of it is not as compelling as the Sami Zayn bloodline thing,
Right.
These matches have been reported by various news sources as set in stone for WrestleMania for it feels like months. Drew, Sheamus, Gunther. It seems like at least several weeks that we've known this is happening. And when you have the match, the Fatal 5-Way, and then you have the finish you had tonight, and then you drag it out to next week, it's kind of like they're dragging it when most of the fans, the fans were chanting triple threat. The fans know, we know that Kevin and Sami are going to get together. We're just trying to figure out how they're going to do it. And thankfully, the WWE's making it interesting. But with the Drew and Sheamus thing, it's not that interesting. And it just feels like, can we get to the point already? Is that just me feeling that way?
No, I get you. It's not a very interesting storyline, and it's very predictable the way it's all going to play out. But I think they are good enough, and the fact that they're high enough mid card that the match shouldn't just happen for the sake of happening. There should be somewhat of a story. It's not a great story, I'll give you that, but they deserve at least the attention they're getting.
But I think they could have just done it tonight. Drew and Sheamus both win, and it's a triple threat. Adam Pearce is sorry, Gunther, I have no choice but to make it a triple threat, and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. To stretch it to another match next week where we have a non-finish to make it a triple threat. It's dude, you already had the setup for the triple threat tonight. Why do we have to push it to next week? I just think it's It's like, we know what you're doing here. We know where we're going. It's not like anybody
Right.
thinks next week, oh, well, Drew's going to win and it'll be Drew versus Gunther. At this point, you're kind of, okay, you're setting up the triple threat. It seems obvious. Just get it done tonight. I don't know why we have to push it to next week, but that's what they do sometimes. It's a little much.
Possibly there's some hesitation where it's like maybe they don't want to do a triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
And this is them giving them a little bit of leeway where it's like maybe we actually go a different direction. Like, we're probably not going to go a different direction, but there is a way out of this.
I think it's probably, if it's not a triple threat, they'd go with Drew, but then they wouldn't give Sheamus a WrestleMania match, and he's done such good work over the past year that it seems like a real shame to not give him a match. It's a shameful thing.
I agree.
Lobster head, Got to give Sheamus his match. Of course I'm right. Lobster head. Remember that old Sheamus theme song? It's a shameful thing, lobster head. Da, 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 da. All right. Booyaka, booyaka. Rey Mysterio's going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Everybody was saying that the Great Muta was going to be the first announcement, which I thought was weird. I was like, really? They're going to announce this? Usually first announcement is like a big WWE star. Great Muta was never in WWE, even though I think he'll go in the Hall of Fame this year. I thought it was weird as the first one that they announced. But Rey Mysterio being announced as the first inductee of the 2023 Hall of Fame for the WWE was a surprise because I don't think anybody thought Rey was going in the Hall of Fame this year. They kept that under wraps pretty well. And they're turning it into an angle. Rey Mysterio came out to a big pop from the crowd. He cut a promo, got interrupted by his son and his son's goons. Dominic asked Rey, how many birthdays and Christmases and soccer games did you miss to make your Hall of Fame career, Dad? I'm ashamed to be your son. And then Legado del Fantasma came out to defend Rey's honor, and they had a match. But Rey going into the Hall of Fame. I didn't expect that. I didn't know they were doing that. I mean, obviously deserving, but it seems like when you go in the Hall of Fame, they're kind of letting you know, hey, your career's over. Although Edge was in the Hall of Fame years ago, and he's still wrestling.
Yeah, but he was forced to retire.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a
and then put in the Hall of
there.
Fame. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different situation where Rey currently on the roster. If I'm not mistaken, the last wrestler from WCW still wrestling in WWE. So this is kind of like an end of an era in a sense. If he's like
AJ
done.
Styles.
Okay, fine.
He wrestled in WCW.
He did wrestle a match or two, fine, but like he was never like a full-time wrestler there because it was at the very end of WCW. But
I think he had a contract full-time.
No, I don't know about that, but
okay,
doesn't matter really. He's wrestled in WCW, sure, but like Rey was the last big name from WCW that they had. So, like for him to be done, it's definitely the ending of a huge chapter in wrestling, I think.
I'm trying to think of WCW guys that are still there. Heyman?
Yeah, I mean, sure, but not wrestler though, but
no.
Personality, sure.
Yeah. I guess you're right. Rey is the only wrestler from WCW they still have.
Well, I mean, not a lot of WCW wrestlers are still wrestling these days, so got to realize now it's over 20 years, so they weren't young back then. A lot
Booker
of those guys
T was
Rey
in the Rumble.
So yeah, and that was probably the end of Booker T.
Judgment Day was not in WCW. They were children. Judgment Day beat Legado del Fantasma with some cheating. Dominic hit a baseball slide kick on his dad outside the ring. Rey jumped into the ring, which distracted the ref, which allowed Damian Priest to hit a kick on a Legado guy, I don't know which one, which allowed Dominic to get the pinfall. Judgment Day wins. Dominic cut a promo after the match. Told Judgment Day that he could handle this alone and wanted to talk to his father. Rey got in the ring. Dominic says he doesn't understand WWE putting Rey in the Hall of Fame when he only deserves to be in the Deadbeat Dad Hall of Fame. And he should have been Eddie's son. Dominic pushes Rey and then charges at him, but Rey drops the rope and Dominic flies out of the ring. So Rey didn't hit his son, but he did do an offensive maneuver upon him. Or maybe a defensive maneuver, which led to his son flying out of the ring. So Rey fighting back kind of this week. And the fact that Rey and Dominic continue to do this feud that's been going on for a very long time now, and Rey's going into the WWE Hall of Fame this year, you suspect that Rey versus Dominic is going to happen at WrestleMania, and it could be Rey's retirement match. It feels that way to me.
Yeah, and it's sad in a way that that's going to be his last match, because you want AJ Styles or something to be his last match, but this is what he probably wants more, so it's for him. I get it. So I no big problem with that, but it's sadly not going to be like one of the classic Rey Mysterio matches to end it, which is really too bad, because I feel like he could still pull out a match like that, I think, if he had the right opponent. And sadly, Dominic is not that opponent, but it's what he wants, so it's what we're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, it's what he wants. He's had a ton of classic matches, and to go out at WrestleMania wrestling your son in your last match is kind of a cool story. How many wrestlers get to do that?
Yeah, no, you're
never
right,
happened.
But
you have your retirement match against your son at WrestleMania. I mean, never been done.
I just feel like just about like even him. Well, they've done him and Rollins before. We don't need to see that again, to be honest. But I'm just thinking, like, there's just so many different talents that he could have wrestled. Like him and Escobar, actually, like, that'd be very interesting if that would be his last match. Much more interesting than him and Dominic, to be honest. But
yeah,
again, gotta stop thinking about good matches here. It's all about the stories. That's what matters now, right?
Man, the promos that Dominic can cut afterwards, I went to prison, came out, and then retired my dad. Tremendous.
Ray's biggest mistake was win that ladder match. Should never won that ladder match. Should have got rid of his son back then.
Yeah, he should have just given the custody to Eddie Guerrero and just kind of left it at that. Somebody suggested to me that Vicky Guerrero induct Rey into the Hall of Fame. I could see Vicky or Chavo inducting Rey.
No
Chavo?
No. Nope.
Jericho.
It's obvious. No, it's not going to be Jericho. It's not going to be Dean Malenko. I mean, they're all good choices, but it's clearly going to be Conan. Like, 100%.
How about Rey Mysterio, the first Rey Mysterio?
That's going to be Conan. I mean, there is no Rey Mysterio without Conan.
Conan is a good choice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I like it. Viking Raiders beat Braun Strowman and Rick O'Shea when Ivar did a splash on Rico for the pin. Valhalla pulling Eric out of the way of a running Braun Strowman, which sent Strowman crashing over the announce table, helping the Viking Raiders get the win there. I like the Viking Raiders. I think they're one of the best tag teams in the world, and they get no respect. They're not looked at as one of the best tag teams in the world. But if you look at them from a working perspective and size and everything, the total package, they're one of the best things going. But they just haven't had the momentum in WWE.
Well, I think what hurts them is the fact that the Usos are the longest reigning tag champs, and them feuding with the Usos doesn't really make sense right now. So, them against like Kevin and Sami eventually, that could be big, and I could see them dethroning Kevin and Sami eventually. But we're jumping ahead. But I think that's going to happen.
Those would be some badass matches. Kevin and Sami against the Viking Raiders. Damn. Like, those guys were looked at as one of the best tag teams in the world before they got to WWE. Then they got to WWE and they've been relegated to like jobber status, They're starting to come up now, but for a while there, all that stuff with the Street Profits, it was bleak for these guys. The repackage with Valhalla has worked, but man, when they were the War Machine outside of WWE and Ring of Honor, I mean, they were IWGP Tag Team Champions in New Japan. Like, they were respected,
I believe Ring of Honor tag champs too, no?
I think so.
Yeah.
They were a very good tag team. They're still a very good tag team. But people are not rating them among the best tag teams in the wrestling business right now. And I think that's an oversight. Because they are. They're just not booked that way. It's starting to come around, but I think these guys are great. Like, they had a good match tonight. All their matches are good. And the more they're given, the better they do. Like, these guys can go. Wasn't it them against Drew and Sheamus in Montreal a few weeks ago when they had SmackDown here that was just tremendous?
Yep. I think what really helped with that, though, is that we actually got to see the whole match. We didn't have to suffer through the commercial break, so we got to actually enjoy the match.
Yeah.
Which I don't think everyone got to see that match, so that's the problem.
Well, it was very enjoyable. I mean, that shows me, like, these guys, they still got it. They're ready to go. Had a good match tonight. They're excellent. I love the Viking Raiders. Charlotte Flair, speaking of legends and great and best in the world, Charlotte Flair, the queen, beat Shotzi with a figure-8 submission, made her tap out. Charlotte just wanted a match tonight. Rhea Ripley watched the match, but unlike everybody else in the WWE, she didn't interfere. She just kind of watched from ringside. And then cut a post-match promo about Charlotte and says, I chose you because I won the Royal Rumble, and it's clear why I chose you now after watching you wrestle. I'm going to beat you at WrestleMania. You can't take what I have for you. And Charlotte says, yeah, you've been improving, but I've been improving, and I want this more than anyone. And then Charlotte kind of walked away and looked like she got lost in her promo. Charlotte seemed a little lost in that promo. Either she was supposed to act like she was shaken up or something, but it was weird. She's like, Rhea Ripley, you're Rhea Bloody Ripley, which means you can rip anyone apart except me. And then she left. It kind of started off all right there with Charlotte, and then it kind of fell apart in the promo. I don't know what happened.
Well, it looked like she forgot her line.
Yeah, right?
Much. Yeah. It's pretty much what looked like what happened. But
she was like looking around like, I know I'm supposed to say something here, but I can't for the life of me remember it. And even Rhea, when Rhea took the mic at first, she's like pacing around the ring, not saying anything. And Charlotte's like, what do you have to say, kid? It was weird. It was like, hey, Rhea, you going to start talking or what? They both seemed a little off in that promo. Maybe they just got the words like before they went out. You know what I mean? Sometimes these promos are just given to them 20 minutes before, and they got a bunch of lines to remember, and Charlotte had a match. I don't know what happened there, but the promo didn't quite work.
Well, I think, because I don't know if you noticed, Charlotte was struggling to get the figure-8 in. So maybe that kind of threw her off a little bit. The fact that, she was trying to get that move in, and then she actually finally got it. But with that kind of like head rush when you're trying to do something, move like that, it can kind of mess you up where you're at, I think. And maybe she just was a little bit off at first. Maybe it threw her off.
Okay. Maybe. I don't know. Coming up on Raw Monday night, Edge is going to call out Finn Balor. Elias will wrestle Bronson Reed. Bianca Belair will wrestle Chelsea Green. Drew McIntyre is going to wrestle Sheamus for an Intercontinental title shot at WrestleMania coming up next week on SmackDown. And WWE announcing tonight officially that May the 6th in Puerto Rico will be WWE Backlash, hosted by Bad Bunny. So a premium live event in Puerto Rico, May the 6th, it's Backlash. And Bad Bunny will be there hosting, I guess not wrestling. But they've not done an event in Puerto Rico for quite some time. Expect a big match for Damian Priest, who's Puerto Rican. Maybe a match for Zelina Vega. And maybe the return of Savio Vega. Is Savio Vega Zelina Vega's father?
I don't know if they'll ever put that into a storyline, but you never know.
Okay.
He makes an appearance.
So that's Backlash May 6th in Puerto Rico, in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So very cool that they're going there. I like that the WWE's spreading out the big events, not just going to the same cities over and over again. They're switching it up. They're doing a Money in the Bank in London. They did a Elimination Chamber here in Montreal. They're going to San Juan, Puerto Rico for Backlash. I like it. And, of course, they keep going back to Saudi Arabia. They love that. May 27th, back in Jeddah for the King and Queen of the Ring.
Lots of money for that.
Yep. Too bad Canadian government can't shell out like millions and millions of dollars for WWE to come here to do WrestleMania-level events like 3 times a year. That'd be nice. You know?
We'll get one if you'd be lucky.
Yeah. But at least, we have more freedoms in Canada than they do in Saudi Arabia. So that works too, I think. I think we have more freedoms, but I'm not really sure. I don't keep up on freedoms.
Well, we did get Elimination Chamber, so at least we had that.
Didn't they get it too?
Yeah, they did too, yeah. Well, they get a lot of things.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia got it too. No big. What's the big deal? Come on. Saudi Arabia gets everything. Those guys. They're probably going to get all the WWE. All the events are going to start being there. Oh, boy. We'll see. They haven't sold that company yet. Pretty good. All right, Big Johnny.
Wait and see. I'm sure Saudi Arabia can buy it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. We've done it all. We've said it all. When can people see you next in the ring? You had a big match last weekend. I know you have big matches all the time. When's the next one?
It's going to be April 2nd, so night 2 of WrestleMania.
Wow.
For Torture Chamber Pro Wrestling. So you can check them out on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter, I think. Torture Chamber Pro Wrestling.
I thought you were booked for night 1 and night 2.
Yeah, night 1's NCW.
Okay.
I'll be appearing. I don't think I'm wrestling, but I'm appearing.
I see. Very busy. Very busy. So definitely check out Big Johnny in the ring. You can check me out here on the Ringside Report Network every Thursday night at 8 p.m. for Ringside Report MMA and every Friday night at 10 p.m. here with Johnny North for Wrestling Uncensored. I'll be back Thursday night, 8 p.m. with Freddie and AJ to preview UFC 286, which is going down next Saturday night in London, England. It'll be nighttime in England, afternoon here. So AJ and I will be doing the watch-along on Saturday afternoon coming up on the 18th of March for UFC 286. Already talking about the 18th of March. My God, this month is moving fast. It'll be WrestleMania before you know it, and we'll be on right after WrestleMania both nights to recap the action as we do all the time here after every pay-per-view from AEW and the WWE on the Ringside Report Network. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here tonight. Don't forget to join over at join.ringsidereport.net. Support the channel. $5 a month supports the channel quite a bit, more than you can imagine. The more members we have, the more shows we can do, and the better the quality of the shows and the longer they can go. So join.ringsidereport.net is what you need to do to support the Ringside Report Network. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video, and we'll see you again next week for another episode of Wrestling Uncensored.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.